Hello there, my YouTube friends and fans. Well, Battlefield is finally out, alive and kicking, and it's doing super well. It actually even beat like the highest player counts of Call of Duty from like 2.5 years ago, I read this morning. Isn't that amazing? Well, I have to say, I always play the campaign first in any Battlefield game. Actually, in any multiplayer, if there's a campaign, I play it first. Look at this dude here. He is alive and kicking. No, he's actually dead and kicking, but yeah, there he is. I thought that was quite funny. Needed to share that. Yeah, I always play the campaign first because I learned that in basically all the shooter games, when you play the campaign after you play the multiplayer, you do not enjoy it as much because most, if not all, of the maps that you see in the multiplayer are actually in the single player. And then when you go through the single player, you'll recognize everything already, and it's not going to be this like wow factor anymore. It's just like, I already know every street, every nook and cranny of it. Yeah, of course, there are some deviations where they show some things that you may not be able to access in the multiplayer, but in general, the wow factor is gone, and it makes the campaign not as good, and that's why a lot of people are like, that play it afterwards are like, the campaign wasn't so good. But if you do actually play it first, you will get the full experience, and that's what I had, and I was just blown away by the campaign. It was way better than expected because I was kind of going in with hesitation. I thought, don't expect too much. It's maybe just kind of like a generic been there, done there campaign, but they did really a fantastic job to keep you on your toes from the beginning to the end. Another reason why it's really a good idea to play the campaign first, even for Battlefield veterans like me, is that you can actually kind of warm up for the multiplayer. Not only can you test out all the guns that are actually in the multiplayer, but you can also do that with vehicles and gadgets and just kind of fiddle around with it and find out, you know, how it works and which gadget you like, which vehicle that you prefer, which gun you like. I already kind of marked myself some favorite guns that I definitely want to, you know, make sure I pay attention to in the multiplayer when they get unlocked. Some amazing guns. And I spent about just a little bit over 11 hours in the campaign, but that's mainly because I was trying to get all the collectibles. I did not find them all, unfortunately. They're extremely well hidden. But if you do them all, you get some really good items for the multiplayer, like skins and character outfits and backgrounds and player cards and so on and so forth. So definitely don't miss out on the campaign. And I even think it has some replay value because it happened to me that I ended up in some kind of bug where my character couldn't peek around the corner, which was something that was crucial in order to continue on the mission. I just couldn't do it. It was just stuck. So I wanted to kind of restart the checkpoint and accidentally selected restart mission. And that was the very first mission, so it wasn't a big deal. But when I replayed that first mission, I realized how much I missed, even how much I just missed of what the characters were talking about, because a lot of times I'm so excited about the action that I don't pay much attention about the talking. And so I was really glad that I redid it and kind of, you know, could do some stuff that I missed. And I also found a collectible that I would have missed otherwise. And of course, I was very excited to be able to finally switch to the multiplayer and see what's new since the beta. But I was a little bit disappointed to find out there's only a few game modes, a new one called Escalation, and then we have a close weapon all-out warfare, and the rest is kind of what we had before. So I just jumped into Conquest, which is my favorite game mode. But at first, I was presented with the same maps that we already played in the beta, which I already kind of got a little bit bored of because I played so much of the beta. And the rotation was just the same 3-4 maps that I already knew. So I was like, where are the new maps? Are there no new maps? Come Come on, guys, you can't do that. So it took me many matches until I finally got to play on the first new map, a map that I never seen before, and I was very, very excited because I was already bored at that point. I was like, if that's gonna be it, then I don't know how long I'm gonna play this. But yeah, I got to play new maps finally, even though the old maps from the beta, I don't want to really call them the old maps, but the maps that we already all know from the beta just kept coming up again and again and again. I felt like they were way more in the rotation than they should have been. Or it was maybe just the algorithm or my luck, who knows. And what can be quite discouraging when you start out is that your beginning or starter guns feel super weak. At least that was it for me. That was the same in the beta, and it's really frustrating because it does feel like you're not shooting real bullets. You're shooting like training bullets, like rubber bullets, or maybe even marshmallows or something like that. It just feels like the guns don't have any power. But that changes quickly once you get some better guns. And I quickly found my favorite, at least right now. I haven't unlocked a lot of guns yet, but as soon as I switched to another gun, I was like, wow, that's what I was looking for. This is exactly it. That gun has the power, the oomph, what I actually need to get the kills that I want to get. And it also makes the game so much more fun. So if you're still at the very beginning, hang in there, it gets better. And it was funny because my friend told me there are 9 new maps and I only always played on 8 maps. So I'm like, where is that 9th map? I switched between game modes. I played hours and hours and hours and hours, and that 9th map didn't come up until the next day after hours of playing. I was so excited. I was like, there it is. Finally a new map. Yay. Alright, let's go! I can't wait to explore this map. And I always love to play as an engineer. It's like my favorite class. And this map has actually some really cool parts. It's got the little village, like a farmer's village, with little gardens and little houses and little streets and lots of nooks and crannies, which is really fun to play in. But then it's got also like this other side that I don't really like, because it seems like it appears in a lot of maps where it almost feels a little bit copy and paste, but don't get mad at me now for saying that. It's just, you know, having played so many Battlefield games, I feel like so far there are too many construction sites in several maps. And after playing like in one construction site and then getting into a different map and you play in another construction site and then another map with another construction site, it just feels like, do we need so many construction sites? I mean, I know that construction sites can be fun to play in, but I feel like they should have kept it to like one map. We don't need so many construction sites in so many maps. I rather would have other things, other buildings, and maybe even like water maps. And I know they're probably still coming. Who knows? I mean, what we're gonna get. So I'm definitely curious about what's coming, and I'm carefully optimistic about that. But just to begin with, I feel it's a little bit too much of the same. And at the end, you find out that everyone is always like in this one building, and the map around it is not really used that much. It's a little bit different when you play Conquest because you have to spread. But other than that, yeah. And I hear a lot of people say that they have a hard time seeing the enemies in general, that the vision is really bad. I don't really have a problem with that. Like I did have that in 2042, but not in Battlefield 6. But there is definitely an issue where when you're inside, like here, it's kind of darkish inside and you look through a window or a door or anything, the outside looks really, really washed out, and it is definitely hard to see. And that also is kind of like a little bit of a problem because people have figured out that some of those corners are extremely dark, and you see a lot of campers sitting just in those super dark corners, and you can't really see them when you come in from the brightness. And I know that's realistic, that is how it is in real life. If you come in from the sun and you get into a dark room, you're kind of blinded at the beginning. But for a game, it's a little bit of an issue, especially if they want to keep campers at bay. But I am pretty optimistic that they're going to fix that, because a lot of people have mentioned that, and they're really good at updating things. It's just a matter of when that will be updated. We'll see how soon that happens. But other than that, I don't really have any complaints. They actually took us back to the Battlefield game that we all love so much. They really listened, so I don't know who had the say here, probably EA and not DICE, the developer. But who cares? The game is back to its roots, and that's what we all love. I just hope that we're gonna get more exciting maps than what we have here, and especially some water maps. That would be amazing. Well, there's one little goodie I add here at the end of my video. This was actually the beginning of a match. It was just about to start, and I just drifted under the map slowly but steady, and there was really nothing I could do whatsoever. Besides, I could have left the match, of course, but I wanted to see what actually happens if you just stick it out. Eventually, I just died, and then I spawned in normally. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't yet, leave some comments if you want, and I hope to see you next time. Until then, happy gaming, take care, bye bye.